Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation, staring at a blank screen at 2 a.m. with 3 empty coffee cups and a soul that feels like it's been through a paper shredder. Well, let's skip the part where the universe began 13.8 billion years ago and get straight to the point, because neither you nor I have time for astrophysics when our bank accounts are red and our energy is in the gutter. It's 2026, and if you're still waiting for a magical moment to fix your life, I've got some brutal news for you. The magic isn't coming, but these 6 habits are. When I was in my 20s, I read books like The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg and Atomic Habits by James Clear, and they made me realize that if I wanted to achieve my big goals, financial security, health, and becoming something more than a professional procrastinator, I didn't need a miracle. I needed a system. I needed to download a new operating system for my brain because the one I was running was full of malware and 2 a.m. doom scrolling loops. But before we dive into the habits that actually rebuilt my life, let's go over the most common mistake people fall into, which is trying to change too much at once. You know exactly what I'm talking about, the New Year's resolution effect. This is when people utter the words, "New year, new me," and then decide to start waking up at 5 a.m., working out 2 hours a day, and meditating in an ice bath inside a sauna inside a bigger ice bath. This massive change feels motivating for about 48 hours, and then your biology revolts. Your brain has a friction detector called the anterior cingulate cortex that spikes when you try to do something too difficult, too fast. Unless you're Spider-Man, and if you are, please contact me immediately because I have questions about the web fluid, real growth is incremental. It's 1% better every day. It's less glamorous, it won't get you a million likes on social media, but it's the only thing that actually creates a life-changing compound effect. So stop chasing 6 new identities simultaneously. Pick 1 or 2 keystone habits and lock them in. A keystone habit is the lead domino. When you knock this one down, everything else gets easier. For me, the first and most important domino was working out regularly. I'm not talking about becoming an Olympic athlete tomorrow. I'm talking about consistent movement. Exercise elevates your mood, clears that brain fog that makes you feel like you're living inside a bowl of soup, and gives you a level of energy you simply cannot buy in a coffee shop. Plus, let's be real, you get some attention from the ladies and significantly more attention from the gym bros asking how many sets you have left. But exercise is only half the battle. If your first domino is movement, the second is sleep. Prioritizing sleep is the foundation of nearly every aspect of your physical and mental health. I used to think sleep was a luxury for people without goals until I read Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. Honestly, it's a pretty dry book, which makes it perfect for when you actually can't fall asleep. But the science is terrifying. If your sleep is trash, your decision-making is trash, your memory is trash, and your lifespan is shorter. Aim for 7 to 8 hours. Set a strict bedtime alarm. Keep your room cold and dark. And for the love of everything sacred, stop being a nighttime coffee psychopath. If you can get consistently good sleep and move your body, you've already won the biological lottery. Now, let's look at the quick, doable habits you can start today to feel the benefits immediately. Habit number 3. Always keep water visible and within reach. Your brain is essentially a wet sponge floating in your skull. If that sponge dehydrates by even 2%, your focus and cognitive function drop by 20%. Get a nice water bottle, preferably one with a straw, because for some psychological reason I don't fully understand, we drink more when there's a straw. Aim for about 100 ounces if you're a man, and 80 if you're a woman. Unless you're the Wicked Witch of the West, in which case you should probably stick to 0 ounces just to be safe. Hydration is the cheapest energy upgrade in existence, yet most people walk around feeling like zombies with Wi-Fi simply because they're thirsty. This leads us to habit 4, which is the habit that will actually save your 2026. Charge your phone across the room. Doom scrolling is a dopamine candy machine that hijacks your evolutionary hardware. If your phone is the last thing you see at night and the first thing you see in the morning, you're not living your life. You're living in a feedback loop designed by engineers in Silicon Valley to steal your attention. Your brain wakes up and immediately gets hit with a dopamine tsunami, which makes every other productive task for the rest of the day feel boring and painful. Put the charger in the kitchen. Buy a cheap alarm clock that sounds like a fire drill. The added friction of having to physically get out of bed to check your notifications will decrease your scrolling time by 50% instantly. I used to watch true crime videos in bed until my retinas burned. Now, I watch them on the couch like a civilized person who respects his circadian rhythm. It's about building a greenhouse for your mind, not a prison. But what do you do when the resistance hits? Because it will hit. Your brain is designed for survival and comfort, not for your success. That's where habit 5 comes in, the 5-second rule. Starting is the hardest part of any task because it requires a massive burst of activation energy to break the inertia. When you know you need to do something, but you're stuck in the lazy loop, count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. Your brain has a 5-second window to talk you out of an idea before it kills it to save energy. This countdown bypasses the emotional brain and activates the logical prefrontal cortex. It works for the gym, it works for that difficult email, and it works for getting out of the shower when the water is perfectly warm. Stop waiting for the vibe to be right. The vibe is a lie. Action creates the vibe. Finally, habit 6 is the combination of environment design and habit stacking. Stop relying on willpower. Willpower is a battery that drains every time you make a decision. If you want a journal, put the journal on your pillow so you have to move it to go to sleep. If you want a gym in the morning, set your clothes out the night before. This is what I call sabotaging your lazier self. You're essentially engineering your environment so that the good habits are the easiest option and the bad habits are the hardest. Pair this with habit stacking, linking a new habit to something you already do without thinking. For example, after I brush my teeth, I immediately change into my gym clothes. I don't have to think about it. The toothbrush is the trigger. I also use temptation bundling. I only let myself listen to my favorite podcasts while I'm on the Stairmaster. Last week, I stayed on that machine for an hour just because the interview was too good. My legs are now strong enough to crush a watermelon, which is a very specific skill that I'm sure will be useful in the event of a global fruit-themed apocalypse. The reason most people fail at change isn't a lack of desire, it's a lack of strategy. You've been told that you need to want it more, but you can't out-willpower a bad system. Your life is the sum of your systems. 6 months from now, you won't be able to point to one single day where everything changed. Instead, you'll just notice that you're waking up without a headache, your clothes fit better, you're less reactive to stress, and you actually trust the person you see in the mirror. That trust is the ultimate prize. Every time you do what you said you would do, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. 2026 isn't about becoming a perfect person. It's about becoming a person who doesn't break promises to themselves. The glamorous stuff gets all the attention. The millionaire morning routines, the productivity hacks, the biohacking secrets. But the real secret is that there are no secrets, just boring habits done consistently. If you're still here, it means you're already part of the 1% who finishes what they start. You've listened to the science, you've laughed at the Spider-Man jokes, and now you have the map. But a map is useless if you don't take the first step. Pick one habit, not all 6, just one. Do it for 14 days until it feels like part of your skin. Then add the next. Build slow, build sustainable. Because the life you want isn't built in a moment of inspiration under the shower. It's built in the 1,000 mundane moments you choose to show up for when nobody is watching. Thanks for watching. If this video hit your soul even a little bit, do the algorithm a solid and hit that like button so other people can find this operating system. Comment 2026 is my turning point so I can see who is actually joining the mission. Remember, you aren't waiting for motivation. You are becoming the person who doesn't need it. Stay legendary, stay hydrated, and let's start building. I'll see you in the next one.